Hi guys, it's Mike Festiva. Welcome back. This is a short video kind of showing what you can get done with one of these basic little gas skid steers. About 5 hours worth of work and about maybe $400 worth of materials, $200 in gravel, and about $200 in railroad ties. Completely transformed this kind of shabby front yard into a pretty nice spot, getting it ready for the fall for gravel, cut down on mud, and just really transform the yard. So if you're interested what you can kind of get done with these machines in a pretty good budget and not really beating yourself up with it, 5 hours worth of work is enjoyable. Check out the video. I think you're gonna like it. So we met down at his place around 9 a.m. One summer morning, cleared out a bunch of little rock he had collected around the yard and the borders and around edges for plants and things like that. Went ahead and started scraping the loose topsoil, some of those old wood chips, things like that, and old grass. Scraped all this area out of here. Just didn't take long. I think we put about 45 minutes on the machine to get the site prepped before we ran down to the gravel yard and picked up 8,000 pounds of gravel. This little skid steer, you know, they're not super fast, but they are powerful. You can get a lot done with these little machines, and you know, some of these gas machines can have issues with tracks. I've had some track problems on this, but this whole project I never actually threw a track at all. It was 5 hours worth of, I don't know, landscaping. I don't remember. It might have been 3 hours worth of machine time, something like that. But there's my brother moving around some rocks and some things. I'm running the skid steer there, just kind of scraping the grass away, leveling out spots. Any of the material I'm taking that, filling in the low spots and taking over back behind that shed over there and kind of terracing out. That pot was probably a 100-pound pot with wet soil in it, and the machine lifted up no problem. Getting his little shed here, a little wood shed graded out too. We're going to fill in that back area with gravel, so we need to do a little log retaining wall. But yeah, this little skid steer started to show here. It works so well for doing this kind of stuff. And these are budget machines. You can pick these up at dealers for pretty cheap and at auctions. No way I'm trying to talk anybody into them, just really sharing my experience with this machine and what you can get done with them in really a fraction of time. So here between the pine tree and the shed, I was taking all the excess soil and dumping it over this hillside and kind of packing it down and back grading it with the bucket. Right in front of the bucket, the hillside rolls off pretty steep, about 4 feet down. So just kind of finishing up that terrace. Almost got the site area prepped and cleaned out. I think it was about 45 minutes of work. We hauled about 3 bucket loads of rock and did a bunch of scraping, all the sod and everything out of there, and some terracing. You can see the little mini excavator in the background. I thought I'd use it more on this project, but really only used it for this one application of setting this one railroad tie. The plan was to get up, get some gravel, bring in a bunch of railroad ties, but unfortunately, the nearest we could find were about 30 miles away, and so just left the skid steer with the keys for it for Andy the next day, and he finished up placing all the railroad ties, and yeah, thought I'd use the Mini X more, just didn't need it. Well, got the whole area cleared and put less than 3/4 of an hour on the little skid steer. Now we're trying to track down some railroad ties for some borders. I gotta go pick up some gravel now. So like I said, it was a lost cause trying to find the railroad ties that day, so we just bagged that and just decided to stick with the plan and hauled in 3 different loads of gravel. It's about 8,000 pounds per load. I couldn't get the dump trailer any closer because it's on a steep driveway. But this thing really saved our bodies, man. Every time I go into a pile of gravel here, it's about 2 wheelbarrow loads. And I've done a lot of like landscaping in the past, and I would have been beat at the end of the day. It doesn't look like much of a hill here, but it definitely rises up a bit. All this 1.25 inch gravel would have been tiring to scooping into a wheelbarrow and pushing up here on countless loads. Like I said, there's 24,000 pounds of gravel to finish up this project, moving around bucket loads of rock for, you know, bordering the flower beds and things like that. Funny thing is, I already have my backpack packed the next morning after this day. This is like an August day. I think it's probably 75 degrees. The next morning, I got up before sunrise and took off on maybe a 50 mile hike, backpacking trip, and it was beautiful up in the mountains. A big portion of it was off trail to a bunch of alpine lakes and a bunch of fishing. If I did all this, manual labor, shovel, wheelbarrow, I think I would have been so beat, I don't even think I would have taken off on a trip. I would have been so worn out. So doing landscaping, shoveling, wheelbarrowing in the past, I can really appreciate the value these machines add. I've had some people just say these are junk, buy a name brand machine. One thing I can't afford, even a name brand beat up used Toro Dingo for 12 grand. I can afford a $4,000, $5,000 gas skid steer, and You know, you can do a lot of work in a short amount of time with a machine like this. Well, in less than 3/4 of an hour on the hour meter of the skid steer, that was 4 tons worth of gravel spread out from down there as far as I get the trailer up to here. So Andy's starting to do a little bit of rock work with some of these here and bring back some stone around some of the plants he wanted to keep. So this would be really nice come fall when this all packs in with a lot of rain. It'll wash off the rock and give a nice bed here for no mud. All right, second load of gravel with the dump trailer. Decided to put it in this section because any of the excess we can't get cleaned up, I can use on the driveway anyhow. So bringing up the other 8,000 pounds in this second load. And these loads at the local gravel pit are about $55, $60 a load. It's an 1.25 inch minus, and it's pretty good stuff. It takes a little while to pack in, but once it does, it becomes a really nice kind of a solid bed. Right there, Andy's cutting up old cedar board to put in the back of the shed because it drops off at least a foot. So in the back of the shed, we brought in at least a foot of gravel to kind of bring up the grade in there for rolling motorcycles or stacking firewood, whatever he wants to do with the shed. But yep, just hauling more gravel, dogs walking around, getting in the way. But it was a very pleasant day of work out here. And yeah, it was really nice to work with Andy and improve his place. And it was pretty fun. It's definitely, I guess, work, but it's pretty enjoyable with a machine like this when you know how hard it is to do this stuff manually. Another nice thing with these skid steers is once you dump the pile of gravel, you can come back through and just backblade it. And it takes very little gravel work after that. Once you backgrade it, you can maybe do a little bit of rake work, but for the most part, you can lay it out, spread it out pretty easy with the bucket, backgrade it, and most of your work is like 95% done. You can see this little gas skid steer is fighting for traction here. This is all 1.25 inch minus, like rolling on ball bearings basically. And it's actually a steeper grade fighting up the driveway there to get a scoop of gravel than you would think. So yeah, the machine did great. My bigger diesel machine has a lot more capacity and a lot more weight and is faster overall. You can get all this work done in about half the time. But there's something to be said about these simple little gas machines. They can be loaded in the back of a truck easy. My diesel's kind of questionable if I'm going to be able to get in the back of my Ford F-250. I'll probably have to use that dump trailer. When you're using the dump trailer, it means you can't be hauling gravel at the same time. There's been little projects I've taken this little gas skid steer out in the back of my Ford and brought, 7,000-8,000 pounds of gravel in my dump trailer out all in one sitting, as one go. And so I definitely like these little gas machines because they're just so compact. They save your body. The tracks are a little finicky, but I don't think I would trade the tracks for tires where I'm at because I got a lot of mud in the wintertime around here. I think the tracks are probably better for plowing snow anyhow. And as much as they can be kind of finicky on these smaller gas machines, I don't know, maybe I'll probably partially pop a track every 4 hours, maybe roll one off all the way 5 or 6 hours. But keep in mind, on this whole project, I probably have 3 hours total on the machine. So it might be every few days worth of work you might actually deal with that. Here, Andy's kind of getting the gist of the controls, kind of figuring it out. He's a little more timid because he's never ran the machine before, but he's starting to figure it out. I mean, this is the first time he's ever hopped on one of these machines, and I let him kind of run it for a while, just like, hey, take the controls, see what you think about it. He was pretty impressed what you can do with the machine. Well, it's about 75, maybe 80 degrees out, and this thing's been running for the last 2 hours, and it was at 56, 57 Celsius, so that's not bad at all. Worked pretty good. This was after I installed that little oil cooler down there. Made a big difference, but no tracks came off, no nothing. Andy learned how to use it a bit more too, which is cool. And we moved 3 loads of gravel, and each load was 8,000 pounds a load. traveling up the hill. And this, I put 8,000 pounds through here yesterday and traveled a bunch towards my place. So this whole plan is Operation Gravel Drop. I'll come up with a corny name for it. I'm so sick of mud, and it's just with that dump trailer now, my plan is just to get everywhere I travel machines on and walk on in the winter time out here in the Northwest. It just gets so muddy. So covering everything with gravel. Finish up regrading the driveway here soon. But yeah, we spread some of that pile out here. This looks great. We got all this done. We had one railroad tie, so we put it here. Andy's gonna pick some more up, but unfortunately it's like a 30-mile drive each way to get 4 to 6 railroad ties. Nowhere locally has them, so we got some extra mounds here. We're gonna put some railroad ties up as little barriers because I think they look pretty nice. They'll last a long time. And once this gets all rained on and packed in, it's going to be pretty good. But I think it's going to continue on right next to the shed here with more ties that come over here and tie it in together. How about that? So there's some more piles of gravel we got to rake in once he puts those there. So here's a reminder. Here's the before shot. Just wood chips, some dirt. This is mid-August, no mud, but come late fall, this is going to be a mud pit. And here's the after shot. This is late April, the following spring. So it held up great. It's all been packed in. This is the before shot as we got all the topsoil scraped. And here is the after shot with the gravel. Like I said, this is about 8 months later. Gravel packed in really well. He was happy with it all winter long. It was wonderful. And just a big improvement for like $400 with railroad ties and gravel and about 5 hours of time, 3 hours of machine time. Turned out great. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a nice comment down below. And if you're interested in this kind of content, go check out my channel. I have a bunch of videos showing these machines, the skid steers and mini excavators, actually doing projects with them, doing some work, and see what you can actually do with them. Till next time, take care. Bye.